No
I got a
worries.
webcam for Christmas.
Oh,
I'm Jewish too, so it's like it's good, you know. I'm collecting on holidays I've never been able to before.
Hey, again, it's 2020. We're just celebrating them all at once.
Absolutely. I'm always celebrating Mamma Mia Day. That's the one that I celebrate the most.
Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the channel. Would you like and subscribe?
Hello, beautiful people. My name's Alex. I'm here with the incredible Maria Wirries. You might know her from her amazing performance in Dear Evan Hansen on Broadway and on tour, but I know her more from her incredible performance in her Penn State showcase where she sang How Far I'll Go, one of my favorite performances of all time, and immediately made me love her. She released an incredible album that I'm really excited to be talking about. And here we are with Maria. Hey, how you doing?
Hi, I'm glad to be here today. This has been such a treat. I've been looking forward to it.
I've been looking forward to it too. So I've been listening to your voice pretty much nonstop since the beginning of October. Also, by the way, I don't know where I'm looking, so I'm horrible at this already. How are you doing right now in this pandemic?
That's a great question. Well, I'm home in Florida right now just for kind of the holiday thing and just
Amazing.
loving it.
Incredible.
Loving it.
Did you record Just Keep Singing there?
No, I'm living in New York permanently now.
Amazing.
And so we set up a little like recording studio. I mean, it's like our own version of a recording studio in our apartment. Me and my partner, Matt, we started working on it, I guess, in May when we got in the apartment. And it was just like our quarantine project.
Oh, it just started as a quarantine project. So were any of these songs written prior to the pandemic?
I think 3 of them were, and then the rest are all pandemic songs.
Honestly, in the morning, I wake up and I listen to music and I do the dishes constantly and I just put it on loop. And I've just had your album on loop for like weeks now. So
oh my gosh,
it's like so how I've been waking up and spending my day. It's been really wonderful. Wow. I wanna ask you some like fun kind of nerdy songwritery questions and
okay.
The first, what was your first ever favorite song? Do you remember?
Oh, wow. This is a good question. It was probably Friends in Low Places by Garth Brooks.
Oh, whoa. I love it.
So I like growing up, my mom is a lot older. And so the music taste that she has is like the 30s through the 70s is kind of like where she really thrives.
Nice.
And so I just grew up listening to all of that stuff. And I know Garth Brooks is more like 90s, but she loved a Garth Brooks moment.
That's so interesting that you say Garth Brooks because I feel like your music inherently has like such an interesting Southern vibe to it in a lot of it. And maybe that's because some of it's based in guitar, and maybe that's just what I always read into the use of a guitar. But
sure.
What's your favorite song right now?
Ooh.
Tough, I know.
I would say it's Cactus Tree by Joni Mitchell.
Yes.
I just like Song to a Seabird. Bleh, hello. I feel like during quarantine, I've completely lost my ability to speak. Like
I don't think I was ever able to speak.
Okay. Oh yeah. So.
Yes. Oh my God, Joni Mitchell. We are filming this around the holiday time. Just a little mystery. I'm not going to say which holiday, but I guess around Christmas. Because River always is like around this time. I'm always a sad boy anyway, and I just like sit in it with her,
Yes, that's why I love her music.
Oh my God, incredible! All right, I'm gonna burst through a couple of these questions, and then we'll move on to some of the more exciting, more fun stuff. What is your favorite film?
Yeah. So I have a favorite like Real People and a favorite animated. My favorite Real People movie is Moonrise Kingdom.
Yeah.
I was just like, when I watched that movie for the first time, I was like, are you kidding me? Nothing has ever spoken to me so specifically. I'm like a Benjamin Britten, like little bit of a nut, like growing up in high school. I was like really obsessed with him. And then I'd say my favorite animated one is Coraline. And I've probably watched that movie well over 100 times. No exaggeration. I'm just like on repeat. It's kind of like a comfort movie.
An odd comfort movie in the best way, right?
Odd comfort movie, but it's the one there's something about it that is so unique and like magical but dark, and I just think that's amazing.
Okay, all right. So I'm interested in talking to you about collaboration, and like I always say that like we all contribute to the ship work, but one person wears the captain hat for the lyrics or the music or the book or whatever it is. So I know you're working on a musical right now, and this is the first one that you're working on, right?
Yeah. I've never actually like set out to create a musical, and it wasn't even my idea in the first place. But he was a senior when I was a freshman. His name is Christian Thompson. He was in Ain't Too Proud. And we've sort of kept in contact since he graduated. He was in my family line.
That's right. Because at Penn State, and this is just for everyone watching who does not know this, but Penn State, they have like family lines, and you can follow, there's like a family tree of people who have been in your family, right?
Yeah. We're all like, there's a, depending on, I guess there's 12 to 14 different families, depending on how big the class size was. Yeah. So he was a member of the family.
Very mob-like. I like it.
Very mob-like.
He was a member of the family.
Of the family. Yes.
Musical theater kids.
It's like, yeah, I know. We take ourselves like way too seriously.
I love it.
Very silly.
I'm obsessed. I love it.
Yeah, but he just like reached out to me after I released the album, and he was listening to Thoughts on the Fjord. He's one of the songs in it, and he was like, this reminds me of this show that I've always wanted to create, but just have not ever had like the right match of person to do music for it. And he asked me to do it, and I like listening to the concept, I was like, absolutely. Without giving away too much, it's about these two mixed siblings, which were both mixed with various things, and that's a topic we speak on a lot together, about like that experience, feeling a little bit like you can't fully claim either, but also if you pick one, you're not picking the other, all of that kind of stuff. So we're discussing that on a trip to Scotland. Because we're both Scottish also, and have this like wild love for the heritage. And so it's kind of like this fantastical experience for these two mixed kids going to Scotland to reclaim their history while, going to this will reading. It's kind of this whole ordeal, but I love this. So fun to create. I like have never, again, it's a different cap for sure. Like with regular songwriting, I just feel like, I'm sitting down and feeling my emotions. It's like my actual life, and that's what I'm putting out. But with this, it's like, having to get into the minds of characters and the plot and moving the plot along and not like sitting in your feelings. And also being an actor, he kept calling me out. It was really funny on writing in acting beats, like deciding like, yeah, like the person's going to sing it like this because they're confused. Like, no, they have to make their own choices. But yeah, it's been so fun. I just like getting to incorporate traditional Scottish music with more contemporary Scottish music, and this like hip hop sort of Jamaican sound. It's very interesting.
Well, I was gonna say that Thoughts on the Fjord it does feel very like kind of Scottish, it has that like rushing river kind of. I just love it. I really love that song, and that's so cool. That is that song going to be in the musical?
It actually is, yeah.
Fantastic. Oh my gosh.
Which is cool.
So are you rewriting to anything, or is it the same exact lyrics?
It actually just like lined up really specifically with the character that's singing it. And so we were like, done. Like that's one I don't have to worry about.
Yeah, please.
That's a whole other thing, is that like I feel like with my songwriting normally, I just like sit down and I pump out a song. Like it just like it happens. And then I don't usually go back to redo anything with it, whereas in this kind of a setting, it's like it has to constantly change because like the script has changed and this has changed and that has changed, and so I'm rewriting, which is like a new thing as well for me.
100%. Rewriting is for me at least like the weirdest thing, because it's like, but I like this, but this works. This felt right, you know? I want to talk more about that, but I definitely want to like hit the songs on the album because I just want to praise you a little bit. These are
Oh my
these are
gosh.
classic songs. These are like straight up like these are classics. Why Are Musicians So Sad is such a fun, and I know it's not a fun, but it's kind of for me, like dissecting it as a writer, I'm like, that's so much fun. You know, that song, it's so well written, it's so tight.
Oh.
Let's hop back. In your conceiving of the album, I know you made it with Matt, your partner.
Mhm.
Who just came in?
He's
Was that him?
drifting through the back.
Oh, incredible. I would just be so interested in what that collaboration was like and what that process was like, especially on this album. Can we talk for a second about Blue Line to Wonderland? That track is so produced. It's so well thought. It's so every aspect of it. I mean, what I loved so much specifically about that song is that it goes from this ethereal to punk rock to this groove to, I mean, it kind of takes you on this journey and it takes you there. It really does.
I love hearing kind of people's perspectives on it. Cause you know, when you're working on something for like what feels like forever and like you have no outward, like anybody saying anything and you're like, I don't even know if this makes sense anymore. So it's just interesting to kind of hear what people pick up from it. But that song in specific, I started writing it because I was standing in a train station in Boston and there's this sign that just says Blue Line to Wonderland. And I was like, what? I was like, what the heck is that? I was like, that's the trippiest, like grooviest thing I've ever heard in my life. And I just like wrote it down really quick. I did not get on that train, which I need to go back and see where the hell that goes.
You need to go to Wonderland.
Like, what
100%.
is that? I thought it was so wild. And I got this kind of idea of this person like getting on the train for the last time. And it sort of like lines up with like, I don't know, like taking a trip. Like it makes me think a lot of Hair, which is one of my all-time favorite musicals. I love it so much. I got a tattoo of the stuff, like some of the lyrics and like a design on my back. But it was the idea kind of like they go on this trip, literally, and also mentally, of sort of, I guess, like life and figuring out that, you know, life doesn't last forever and you have to kind of just enjoy it while it's there. And then creating it, I always say like, I just sort of like, again, pump out sound. And then Matt took it and I said, like, I have these ideas and I would make these really rough garage band versions. And he was like, yeah, I kind of want like this kind of a bass sound. And so we pulled in our friend, Matt Rubano.
Are they the same players for the whole record or is it different players on every track?
Not always. The drums are the same, as well as guitar. Drums are Ryan McCausland, who was also on the tour. Most people who are on the album are from the tour.
Nice.
Dear Evan Hansen.
I love how you can pull people for projects from other projects. It's the best.
Truly, like I would not have known where to find people if not for having all of these incredible musicians that I've just met. And that was the best part, is like I'm not a bassist or a drummer or per se or anything like that. So being able to say, this is kind of what I'm thinking, go wild. Like send me a track where you're just going off. And that's usually the one we used.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to hop back and forth between talking about stuff, but I wanted to talk to you about taxidermy art.
Oh,
because
yes.
You said this and it just intrigued me. It intrigued me greatly. And I spoke to Jack Bowman. Also, shout out to Lisa Bowman. Our one viewer,
literally.
our one viewer, Lisa Bowman. She's probably the only person subscribed right now.
I'm subscribed to her. Like
I'm subscribed to her as well. Anyway, Jack Bowman was telling me that this is kind of like insect art.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Growing up, I've always loved bugs and insects. Like I just think and growing up in Florida, you either have to like them or you don't. Like it's like there's no real in between for people. So I chose like they're gonna be my best friends. And so getting older and not being around bugs constantly, I have found that what I really love is having them framed in my home. We went to a museum in maybe New Orleans, and it was like this like insect museum, and they had all of these creations that were like floor to ceiling like butterflies that like twisted and turned in these massive art pieces. And they're able to use texture and color, and the colors that like exist in the natural world are like just beyond me. So I'm always stunned by the ability to create with creatures. I think that's really cool.
My grandmother used to collect butterflies. That was, I always, when I walked into her house, I saw these kind of like butterflies on the wall. And so that's why I was immediately like, oh, I want to hear about this, you know?
Oh yeah. It's super funky and like interesting that, you know, you can use taxidermy for art. I just think that's so fun to
It's amazing
use
and
things
creative.
that people would normally toss or I guess get rid of.
That is incredible and creative. I'm gonna work my way down some of
Okay.
my favorite. I picked out 4 tracks that are like my favorite tracks. I want to talk about "Let Go" a little bit though, because
Okay.
that one also felt like there was a lot of production, a lot of thought that went into all of the harmonics, all of the. It's such a cool song. I mean, did you write it for like a choir, or how did you conceive of that song?
Well, I mean, normally all of the songs when I write them, it's like me and piano or me and guitar, and it's like really simple. Yeah, I guess with that one, it was just like me sitting and playing piano, and I was like, you know, again, in my feelings. And so I presented it to Max. I always like, I'm bringing him things, and he's like, okay, like, I don't really know exactly what you're hearing, but like, can you describe it to me? And I was like, yeah, well, I think it has a lot of strings. I think there's like voices going and stuff. And he's like, okay. I always feel so bad because I'm incredibly unspecific sometimes at the beginning of the process.
But
Yeah,
like in that non-specificity are the best ideas, right? Like,
yeah, I think so.
as you kind of convert them into the diamond, you know?
Right. It's like building from the outside in, you know, you're just like chipping away and figuring out what exactly it is it's going to be. But yeah, with that one, I felt very strongly from the beginning about the choruses having this like swell and like bang into the chorus, because it feels to me like the lyric of "I am a figment of your wildest imagination." It's just like the song, it hurts me every time I hear the song. I'm like, so I really wanted to like capture the feeling that I got in the sound. And I was explaining it as like, it just like crushes your chest. Like, it's just like that weight, and it's like, bam. So we kept playing with like, he would play it for me, you know, the track that he's creating, and I'm like adding strings and writing out different parts. And I would be like, can you like make it any louder? He's like, are you sure? I'm like, yes, like keep pumping the volume right like at that moment to like give the big swell. So yeah, I think that's kind of like the biggest part of that song, was that I felt really strongly about like getting that build to that moment.
It's really beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, it's always like the quest to make myself feel what I feel when I'm hearing it. You know, I guess that's kind of what I try to do. I'm like, if I can make people understand like what I'm feeling inside, maybe, you know, they can relate and understand a little better. So yeah, that was a big project for me on that song, was being like, this is exactly how it is I'm feeling, and I need to like get that out.
That is my favorite kind of idea thing, where it's like you start with this kind of grand scheme, and then as you go, you're like, no, this is it, and you can kind of like let that motor through the rest of the process, you know?
Yeah,
it's just
absolutely.
So cool.
Absolutely. So cool. It was really interesting, like deciding that it was going to be an album, but maybe to someone listening, they're kind of like, what genre is this? What genre does she live in or write in? And I don't really have one. So yeah, I think that when writing the album, I was kind of like, I don't want to force myself into like a storyline per se, or like a through sound. And I just kind of let songs be what they were. And in my head, there's like a through kind of thing, but that's, you know, I guess for me.
No, totally. Totally. Honestly, I think what spoke to me most and what speaks to me most about the album is how diverse it is in sound and in range of styles. Like I like how you can handle 2 genres within one song, right? Like you can really get to that screaming rock place and then go right into immediately into kind of like a southern place, or you know, you can handle the fusion of music incredibly well. I think it's I think the album is incredible. It's got a lot of different incredible feels to it that really resonate with me at the very least. I wanted to talk about Goodbye Cecilia as well. And I'm interested because that was a song that you had beforehand. I would love to know kind of like the history of that song and like where that came from. And
absolutely. Yeah. Really quick, do you mind if I grab a tissue really quick?
No, go for it.
My allergies, since I have been in Florida, have been ruining my life.
Oh, you're so fine.
Woo!
That is so unprofessional, Maria.
I know, you're right. You're right, Jack. I should be fired.
Anytime Jack Bowman is talking, we're cutting it from this. Don't worry.
Obviously.
Okay, yeah, with Goodbye Cecilia, I wrote it when I was in Nashville.
Oh, whoa.
And I was really missing my mom because my mom and I are like inseparable beings. Like she is my rock and my everything. And her middle name is Cecilia. And her first name is Janine. And there was a song in the 1920s, which is why she's named Janine, called Janine, My Queen of Lilac Time. And it's just this beautiful song. And so I chose her middle name, Cecilia, and then my Lilac Queen sort of melded into her. I kind of have this interesting relationship with my mom where she just turned 85 in November. So she's always been a lot older than my friends' parents. And so I've kind of had to like, from early on, like accept this, like that things don't last forever, you know, and that we've always known that hopefully we have a million years together, but you never know. So there's this kind of like always sadness that I have of just like hoping that I grab enough time up while it's here. So I think with that song, it just was a lot about kind of, I think, the guilt of going away from home and having to live my life, but also like feeling like I'm missing time, you know? Also, the opening line is that I upped my dose back in Toledo. So on tour, it was really hard to like manage prescriptions and things because you're constantly moving. And if something needs to go up or down, you have to like go see a doctor. And when you're in a town for a week, you can't really get to someone. So I was sort of dealing with that on my own in ways. And so I started trying to incorporate that as well, that like mental health and these feelings can get kind of all tangled together. Yeah.
It feels like a classic. It feels like a song that should be sung forever and ever and always. It's a really beautiful song. So kudos to you. A gorgeous song. I have a couple more like small questions. When did you decide to become a writer? Because I know that performance is something that always was or has been something that's been a part of your life for a while, but writing is slightly newer.
I would say slightly newer, as in like maybe like 8. I mean, I started singing when I was like, when I could talk, but I started singing more professionally when I was like 4 at like county fairs and like prize fights and rodeos and like wherever I could literally hold a microphone, I was like, get me in there to sing.
Yes.
And I started writing songs, but again, they're like, you know, it's like little kids songs where I have like some song about my teddy bear that I lost and like I was really upset about it. So I was always trying to write things, but I think that they were coming from the perspective of where I was, you know, as a young person. And I didn't always have the words to express what it was I wanted to say. And I think that frustrated me early on, that I was like, I'm hearing these songs that I love and they hit me in a certain way. And I don't know how then to articulate that in the way I would like to. Probably in college where I really like dropped in and started writing a lot. And the sound has like evolved in a lot of different ways. I'm always trying new things and like trying to push myself and realizing like I probably will never be a rapper, and that's totally fine.
Me too.
I just like could never. It's
unfortunate,
it's
you know.
so bad. No one should ever hear my raps.
Yeah, no, me neither.
Any time. They're for me. They're for me. So yeah, I think that it was sort of something I grew into, and I also was so scared about showing people my work. Like even still, I'm like it makes me literally want to die and crawl out of my skin.
So I would love to talk a little bit about that, because When I was a kid, I think I felt the same way. And I think that stifled me in a couple of ways. And I would love to talk because I think that it happens on every level. I think everyone feels terrified to share their music. What helps you? What helps you with the kind of anxiety of sharing your work?
Sure. I mean, it's like another level, I think, like of worry. It's truly, I think, one of the most personal things you can do, especially when you're writing songs about your life. When I'm sharing my songs, I'm like, wow, people are gonna know. And another thing is like, I have, my friends from school and stuff like that. When I'm writing about relationships or things, I'm like, everybody knows what I'm talking about. It feels like, like, what does that mean? I'm like, I'm not trying to be Taylor Swift about it, but like,
Right.
sometimes it's what happens. There's like a personal level that like certain people are going to know, first of all. And also if it isn't that, people will assume things, but yeah, I think that that's kind of what makes it the worst. I always say it's like, literally, it's like giving birth because the process is so like, it can be so stressful sometimes, or so like, I just want to get it all out and make it perfect and make it the song that I want it to be. And then you have to like present it to the world. And then you can have people say like, I hate this. And it's like soul crushing because you're like, it's not even really about the song. It's about what is in the song. It's about the fact that you made something, like you took the time to make something. And I think people are so willy-nilly about how they speak to people's work because we live in this society that's so about like the product. It's like, do you have a product that I can sell and that I can put out there? And I personally just think it's not about that at all. So when someone brings me music, I'm always just like, yes, I'm like, I just want to hear what you thought. Like, I don't even care what it is because it's coming from you and it's authentic. And I think that's a big thing, is that people worry that people aren't going to like it. And it's because people say things that they don't even mean to be hurtful, but they come across that way. So I think we just need like space where we let artists just like make stuff and it be awesome no matter what it is. It's just like, it
Totally.
doesn't matter. We're just creating something. And I think there is a pressure to create a product because it's what we do, not just our passion anymore. But I think what helps me with that is, I mean, my mom was a big help. She's always yelling at me, like, literally put your stuff out there. No one, you're never gonna know if it's good unless you put it out there. And yeah, just kind of having a group of people who I really super duper trust that I can just send things to and be like, can you just like tell me about it? And even if there is like I don't really know why you did this thing here, I know that it's coming from a place of love and not like an attack. So I think
Right.
surrounding yourself with people who like take care and also just like love what you do is really helpful. Because I think sometimes we can be like, I need to be around people who criticize me and challenge me, but you also need people who are like, I just love your stuff. Like, I love what you're doing. I support you. Go off,
Do you remember your first song that you ever wrote? And can you sing me a portion of it?
Oh boy. The first like full complete song I ever wrote, it was called Fairy Tales. And it went something like, fairy tales, dewdrops and dragon scales are pushed behind old closed up doors. Memories, flowers, and harmonies seem to have gone with days of yore. It was something like that. Yeah.
That's incredible. When did you write that? When you were 8?
Yeah, I think I was.
That could be in a Shakespeare show. That could
No,
straight
I know,
up
it's
be
very like
that
very
could be
medieval.
no, but but hey, there's a place for that music. It's got that kind of what were they called who walked around with lutes?
Yes, that was
you know what I mean?
what I was gonna say. Can you imagine someone with like a feather in their hat?
Yeah,
Like,
in tights for sure. 110%.
Yeah.
Incredible. Kind of last questions I have. So like when you conceive of a song, right? Like for me, I think of the verse and the choruses, they all have this kind of motor to it. They all kind of have to have a different, maybe even a different motor. Sometimes you have to change what stick shift, right? Like you have to change what valve you're going through or whatever it is. I don't drive, actually. I have no license. I've never had a driver's license. So this is embarrassing. I guess my question is, how do you conceive of a song?
I always say it's kind of like with music and songwriting, like there's sort of like a steady stream somewhere in the ether. I know this is very heady and like
no, please.
hippy dippy for sure. There's just like music that's always happening, and occasionally it just like dips into my ears. It's like, oh crap, a song. So it's kind of like you have to like write it all down before it like goes away. I always write things that I just want to like jam to in my car. Because at the end of the day, like I might be the only person ever listening to it. So I at least better enjoy it.
That's how I feel about my music too. I'm like, I gotta like this.
Yeah, like it's gotta be something I want to hear. When I'm going along, I'm like, what would be an interesting way to say this? Or I really like imagery when I'm writing, which is also another thing I think I gleaned from Joni Mitchell. She's like the queen of illustration and imagery.
She's just the queen.
I try to incorporate like a universe around a song, that it's like, this is what you're kind of seeing and hearing, but like also there's all of this other stuff kind of happening in my mind of what different sections mean, and kind of Easter eggs throughout. So there's fun things like that for me that I think keep it interesting and compelling. I like that idea of like the motor, like it has to like have something that's like keeping it going. I tend to, like you said, you were like, I'm sad boy. Like I totally get that. Like I listen to sad music and I'm like, yes. I'm like feeling. It's like it gets you going, you know?
Oh yeah. Ballads are my favorite. It's interesting because now I'm gonna say that even some of those songs, like Goodbye Cecilia, it definitely does have a motor to it. You know what I mean? Like it's definitely always moving. It's definitely always telling the story, and it's definitely affecting me emotionally. So like, you know what I mean? It's that thing of like, sometimes you can think, oh, this is a slower song, it's probably just gonna sit. No, that song really moves and takes you somewhere. Okay, all right. Do you have a favorite lyric that you didn't write?
Oh man, these are really good questions. I
mean, Mamma Mia is right there.
Listen,
Here I go again.
Love an ABBA moment. Like truly, wow.
Honestly, when we come back from lockdown, I would like to see you do like a one-woman show of Mamma Mia. Cher sings Fernando, so
you know I live for Cher. Like,
oh yeah.
I would
absolutely.
watch this music video compilation DVD that my mom bought me as a kid, like a little kid. I'm like watching these like music videos of her like surrounded by like 20 men, and she's wearing like nothing, and she's like so powerful and cool, and I'm like, oh, like I just wanted to be her when I grew up. And in preschool, we actually, like, my mom had to come in because we were playing with Barbies, and I refused to play with them because I never really liked dolls. And my teacher was like, why don't you like Barbie? And I was like, I think Barbie sucks. And then she was like, okay, well, like, who is your role model? And I was like, Cher. And she was like, Janine, like, hello. What did your daughter say?
And I actually I wanted to play with Barbies as a child. My sisters had Barbies, and my mom got me a Ken doll. It was pretty dope. I'm just gonna say it.
I was a dinosaur kid.
I'm a dinosaur kid right now.
Oh,
I've got a little Jurassic World poster going on. You know,
yes. Okay, well, I will answer your question. I'll stop distracting.
Please. I want lyrics.
I've always loved I'm Much Too Young to Feel This Damn Old, which is a Garth Brooks song.
Yes.
I don't know why that's just always really like resonated with me. I've always felt like I'm an ancient person, probably because I've grown up with old people my whole life. So I just feel really old.
All right. What's your favorite line that you've written?
It's weird. Like you write things and then I never remember like any of my lyrics.
It's so funny because everybody expects you like to be able to get behind a piano and just play all your songs. It's like, I don't know my lyrics. I don't know these songs.
No way. I feel a lot better now. This really really helped.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like it's probably Somewhere in Southern Rain, perhaps.
I love that track.
Thank you.
That's the one that has the shredding in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I was like, just like go off for
Yeah.
like 2 minutes. Why not?
No, that was the right call. That was the right
Oh,
call.
good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
It's the section that's like something makes me run every time I think I'm done. I'm just 3 inches from the next thing that feels better than the last. Will this feeling last? It didn't last the last time or the time before. I think I like that.
I was gonna say it didn't last the last time is my favorite, like
Yeah.
especially from that song. That song is incredible, but that line just catches you because also it's that long kind of like you're tracking the thought. It's very
Yeah.
cool.
Oh my gosh. I'm so
Absolutely.
sorry. My mom is approaching in the
Oh
background.
no, you're fine. You're fine.
What's going on, Mom?
The fire's dying down and she has to make a hot dog.
Okay, absolutely. Well, let's finish
really
here
incredible.
then. This is perfect.
Okay.
This is perfect.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Maria, thank you
Okay.
so much. Seriously, I'm such a
Oh my
fan.
gosh.
I think you're
I
incredible.
could literally talk to you forever. I am also such a fan, and I'm so
Well-
glad that this happened. Thank you for having me. Again, I've
you.
been so looking forward to this, like just getting to chat about
I have been
music
too.
and life. Truly honored to be a part of it. Like,
Oh,
it's
truly.
it's very exciting.
It is our honor. It's mostly Jack Bowman's honor because he's.
Well,
Yeah.
I could talk to you for hours and hours, but you got to make a hot
Yeah.
dog.
I do. Oh my
You
God,
gotta go
it's
make a
like
hot dog.
building a fire outside. It's insane. Florida.
Enjoy.
I will. I love you both, and I'm
I love
so
you. It's
excited
so-
Love you.
to see how
so
this
nice.
half works out.
Yeah.
Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye, Maria.